Granger knows that if you're a
Yes. That was the very awesome Avenged Sevenfold, and We Love You featuring the Pussy Riot. Okay, and we sending that message to our ministers out there, whoever you may be. All right. Anyway, good morning. Good morning. It's Monica, your friend Monica. My ass is in a good mood. I had a great sleep last night. The night before, I did not sleep well. But that's not because I have reason to be not. I have a reason to be not sleeping. It's simply that I'm 50 years old, and needless to say, when you turn, in my case, was 45 years old, you're not the same. Your physical, there's a transformation physically on your body. And I'm specifically, I think it's only applied to female. It may apply to male, I don't know. But because I'm a female, I'm going to speak from the female perspective. And there's just so many things that are strange. And you're trying to communicate them, the thing is in your head. So I do the best I can. I do know that I cannot afford to lose sleep, because when you sleep, is when your brain has a chance to repair whatever neurons you've been using through the days, to regenerate them. And we know that a lot of people who develop dementia and a lot of brain disorders is a lot part of the reason is the deprivation of sleep. So sleep is like eating and drinking. It's really necessary. We have to make sleep a priority. And it's sad that a lot of people, if you're in Palestine right now, you don't get much of a sleep, because the white degenerate who want to steal your land is constantly roaming with loud noise, right? So Palestinian babies can't sleep. Palestinian people can't sleep, right? If you poor black folks, right, you really can't sleep sometimes because you gotta get up. You then don't get too much time off, right? So you are deprived of sleep. So there's a lot of people are being deprived of sleep. White supremacy, capitalism, know everything. One of the core mission is to, so not only to slaughter people, so it's more for them, but also to shorten human lifespan, right? So on average, brown and black folks and this regard white folks could their lifetime could be shorter. That's why if you look at the statistics, right? You take 1,000 U.S. people in U.S. You will see that it's always the majority of those 1,000 will be dead, and they only left a few. Where they are the same age, and those few typically happen to be affluent and white, right? So that's what we're working with, right? And that's done by design, okay? You have to give credit to our white colonizers. They're very smart. They know how to do these things. They know how to do these things, honey. They God. That's why we call them white supremacists, because they know, they figure things out. And speaking of white supremacists, I want to play a little bit of audio for my old friend Megyn Kelly. That what's her name? She Rania Khaled, or the Black Breakthrough News, was able to display on her account. On our new we have a new app. It called Upscroll. Okay, so I got this from Upscroll, but I downloaded it and uploaded it to my Facebook account so I can share with my friends and family like you're supposed to. So let's just hear a little bit of this.
I know I'm supposed to feel sorry for Alex Preddy, but I don't. I don't. Do you know why I wasn't shot by Border Patrol this weekend? Because I kept my ass inside and out of their operations.
She's a fascist. She watched the same video that we watched. She saw this man get shot 10 times for not resisting anything. He was totally subdued, for no reason, by the way, by a gang of thugs.
Exactly. I'll leave it right there. And you know, when Megyn Kelly was saying the fact that the reason why she was not slaughtered by ICE is because she kept her ass home, right? It reminded me something. When, remember, we have a little bit of family drama going on here. Oh, by the way, I have an update. Our favorite character, Jean, she's out of the hospital and she went home and she will be doing some rehab. So I'm really happy that our best friend is doing good. I'm not trying to say this derisively. I'm happy that she's happy and healthy, because we will be going to family vacation soon, hopefully. So maybe she'll make it happen. And not only that, I want her, you know, I love my husband, and my husband loves his mother, and I actually genuinely like her. I'm not just saying that. Even though we have differences, that doesn't mean that I don't admire the woman. I do admire her. I like her. She is a lot of fun. Honestly, she's always laughing. She really is not like, I'm not trying to portray her like she's not the kind of angry, racist white woman. Trust me, she's not at all. She's not. She's different. You know, she's a good grandmother and a good mom. Okay? But she's a white woman. So let's be real. Okay? Anyway, so that being said, when Megyn Kelly was saying all that shit, I thought about a little bit ordeal the day we went to the hospital when Jean was when they was transferring Jean from a regular hospital, regular room to the ICU that day. So I remember that Jean has a grocery bag, and her grocery bag is labeled "The Land of the Free, the Home of the Brave," with American symbolic, you know, the blue, red, you know, the back, that flag that they put everywhere when they're going to slaughter people, brown, black, everywhere on planet Earth. They have it here, and in fact, it used to be that people would be distracted with the KKK symbol, but you don't need KKK symbol because U.S. flag does pretty good job, right? So that flag. So I was like, that's not what the grocery bag that Jean has say. It does not say that you should be in your motherfucking house, right? It said a land of the free. So why is it that when Alice Pretty went on the land, she was in the land, then some thugs, they, instead of calling them KKK, they give them a veneer or legitimacy because it's the state. I don't get what you label these people. They are thugs, okay? They kill a competent white guy, a kind white guy doing what he's supposed. He died heroic, defending an innocent woman who was just out there. And I guess you don't supposed to be in places where these thugs they call ass are, because if you a human where these animals are, you're not condemned to death, right? So I'm like, that bag is very misleading, because that bag is not telling the truth. It's not the land of the free. It's the land that why the thugs they label as eyes can just kill you for existing around them. It's the land of the thugs, okay? Instead of being the land of the free. Because if I'm land of the free, I should be able to go anywhere I want. And it's also said the home of the brave. I wanna agree with that because there is a lot of brave. Alice Pretty was a brave soul. Renee Good was a brave soul. John Brown was a brave soul. Black folks are brave soul. Native people are brave soul. Latinos are brave soul. Brown people are brave, so we are brave, okay? That's the line of the brave. So that statement is correct. The other part I don't get is the land of the free, because there is not much of free going here, because we have these settlers who came here, slaughtered the native, and took over the land, and they still want to maintain that shit as we speak, okay? So I just wanted to say that, all right? So then, going back to our little family drama. I just want to give one little fact. Remember I told you yesterday I introduced the characters of this drama. So we had Jean, that's a principal character. Then we have Henry. He is a respectable character. Then we have Minor. This Minor is what I want to say. I want to introduce this minor character. His name is Tom, and then we have another character, Christine, also known as Power Attorney, and David's sister, and Jean's daughter, and Tom's sister, and Henry's stepdaughter, just like So I hope you guys can make connections. I don't know what's here. So then, what happened here? Okay, so this little minor Tom. So what happened is we at the room. After we've been communicated, I've been communicating about the fact that the brownie, is the only one that can go see Jean. Everybody else, all these white folks can go see Jean except me. And I'm trying to defend the honor of my husband, because this little brownie, it's not just a little brownie that just appeared out of nowhere. The little brownie is David's wife. So why are you depriving David's wife? Forget about my Ghetto Fabulous or any of that. Right now, the truth is that the little brownie, I'm David's wife, and I should be able to see David's mother if she's critically ill. All right. I should be granted that based on dignity, right? But they're trying to deprive me of that dignity. But anyway, there's another indignity that happened with this little minor character. He's named Tom. So I suppose the power attorney, also known as Christine, she was doing some texting with this minor character. And then while we still sitting in the room, and I already did my share of arguments with everybody. Also, while doing all this argument, I was also very busy telling all of them that Jean is not dying. Jean is gonna be okay. That Jean was moved to the ICU because they need to care for her a lot more than they could have in a regular room. In the ICU, they have more equipment to do stuff. All right, because she got ill, right? She got more ill than she should have been. If they would have done all the tests ahead of time, maybe that would have been prevented. And I already made my argument about that too, but you can go watch my other videos on the other episode. And so I did that. Then what happened? Then okay, so there's minor characters. So the Christine, she over there doing the testing and this stuff, in and out of the room. On the menu, you have to keep in your head, this is a waiting room, and it was really us there. There was no any other family, it's just us. And well, there was people coming in and out of there basically to use the bathroom. I'm like, we have the most expensive healthcare system in the world, but somehow they only have one little bathroom in this whole floor. There's no other places people can go to bathroom. But let's put that aside. Okay, that's capitalist logic that I don't get. But I am communist, so what did I know? And then, okay, so she tested this minor character, also known as Tom. And then Tom came in. And me, David, Emily, it was by this time Emily, they also known as David's daughter, she was still over there with the grandma, right? Because what happened? Okay, let me tell you what happened. Okay, so what happened is, after all this and everybody already went to see Jean in the ICU except me, they left me in the room, in the waiting room, to cry to myself and feel that I'm I'm just intruding these beautiful white folks and me, the savage animal. I'm just like, I was just in a room. But anyway, after my husband went, Henry went, Lacey went, and I already introduced all these characters. So you just have to go back to yesterday if you don't know what the characters are. And then Emily. So Lacey went to Tom's, and so when Lacey came back, and then Christine said, also known as power attorney, said that anybody else want to go another time? I was like, no, because we are leaving, right? Everybody went to see Jean. Lacey went to see it 2 times. It's time to go, because me, the brownie, there's better things I can do with my time, like making my beautiful, reading my books, and helping people understand Marxism and socialism and the thinkers I want people to engage with, or eating my food, or whatever I want to do in my house. So I was like, I can't leave because I can't with my husband, and there's no other way I can leave by myself. But even if I did, I'm not leaving my husband back. So I was like, we're gonna be going. I didn't say all this, but I just said we gotta go. And then Christine, also known as power attorney, said, hey Emily, hey you wanna go say goodbye? And Emily said yes. So Emily went. So then, while Emily was still going there, because initially they said it could be 2 people at a time that can go see Jean, but then they switched it up to 1 person, because I guess the strategy was trying to prevent me to go with David. I swear to God, this is so fun. It's so funny to me. I can't get away. Like, I can't believe these people give me a little drama. So then So then, so I was like, okay, I wasn't gonna say, Emily, you can go see your grandma, because honestly, those women adore these girls. Those are her little princess. So I genuinely like that. I like grandmothers who love their grandkids, because that's what you're supposed to do. Love your grandkids, all right? And those kids love her too. So I said, sure, Em can go. Doesn't matter if I'm ready to go for Emily and Lacey to see their grandmother. I'm all for it. So then what happened? Okay, so then while Emily's still there, they didn't give Emily a chance to stay just as long as the second time that Lacey was there, because according to this protocol, it needed to be 30 minutes. They cut Emily 30 minutes and a half, or even less than that, because this minor character came in. So they couldn't wait to give Emily her whole full 30 minutes, because this minor character came in, also known as Dom, because he had nothing to do to go to the waiting room at the ICU floor. He did not want to come in. I'm like, this minor character don't want to say hi to other members of this family, meaning my husband, Lacey. Although he had a chance to go say hi to Henry later, Henry, he did not come to the room. So they swiftly went in the ICU room, cut Emily time that she was entitled to 30 minutes. They got her shit in a half, or even less than that, got her out, and this minor character got in. And I was like, okay, fine, no problem. We can go. And Emily come in, good with me, and we left. So that's what the minor character figures in. Okay? This minor character called them. Now, this minor character, there's something about this minor character, and I think I have hinted at him, except I didn't label him. At the time, I didn't have the name for the character. I didn't know this whole thing was gonna transpire. What can I say about this? I tell you what, this minor character will come into play again into this whole drama, this whole play, because for right now, I just don't want to put further more about this minor character, okay? But just keep in mind, this minor character will be coming back to this play. But for right now, we left the room, okay? We left the room, me and my husband daughters, we left the room and we went home. And that's just all we need to know for right now. So that's just as much as I can speak about this play today. So for now, we're going to go back and do what's important. Not to say this play is not important. This play is important. It's very instructive. I mean, I love it to death. This little play here is an ongoing play. And I am going to keep this play now that we... Oh, by the way, speaking our main character, Jean, also known as my husband's mom, as David's mom, and the mom of everybody that I have been through, no, except Henry and Lacey and Emily, the mom of the three. My husband is me. By the way, I'm also the villain in this play. I am the villain in this play, and my husband is supporting. Somehow he's related to the villain, but he's not doing any villaining. The villain somehow is me. Is the most pathetic villain I ever seen in my life. Is like, nah, I don't understand this villain. This is like, I assume the villain is like, but I'm the villain in this whole play. But before I go there, I just want to say something. So when we were in this room, I did what most daughters do. They call the parents and say, hey, mom, guess what happened? I'm at a hospital because David's mom, also known as the principal character in this play, is in a hospital. He said, what happened? I said she had some issues, which I don't think it's important to disclose. And then she was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear. Hopefully she'll do well. I said, yeah. And then I told my mom, based on the situation, what I hope she would do to avoid issues. And which her and I got into argument about that because she said, no, I told her and my stepdad to do that stuff and stuff. And she gets, so I'm still working on her, trying to make sure she do stuff. And then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then I explained the situation, and my mom was like, oh no. And my mom was really, really concerned because that's my mom. That's how she is. She cares. She's just like, I didn't come out of nowhere. My caring for humanity, my love for humanity comes from my mother. My political being, it actually comes from my mother. And I may add, my mother is a white woman, right? Despite what you think, my father is a black man, but he's not as political as me. I don't think my father hold any political view. He's very apolitical. But not my mom. I mean, you have to understand, a white woman in the 1970s go pick out the most Negro. That already tells you when she could have gone in alley and take care of the situation. But instead, she literally sicked out. That's my mom only have my little children. Alright, so my mother is already like that, and that's why I'm like that. That's why I fight for these causes, because I think despite what people think, I love white folks a lot. I do love them to death, and I want them better. So if you love someone, yes, you gotta be honest with them, okay? So it's not like I hate white folks. I love them very much, right? You still love people even when they're fucked up, but you want them to get better. But anyway, I called my mom and told her that, and then my mom just concerned, right? And my mom don't just act this for my husband, mom. My mom act like when I tell her one of my friends is struggling with something, she concerned. If even my ex-husband family, or that's how we are. We do not narrow concern based on a little bit of circle of friends, circle of family, just me, my brother, my sister, and that's not, we don't budget our concern. We spread it around. But anyway, my mom was really concerned. And then finally on Monday, my mom texted me. She said, buenos días, ¿qué tal la mamá de David? Good morning, how's David's mom? I say, está bien, mamá. Ya está fuera del ventilario, right? Todavía está recuperando. Hey, mom, she's good. She's already out of the gravity of it all. She's getting better. She's recuperating. All right. So then after that, my mom texts me back. She said, me alegra muchísimo saberlo. Por favor, salúdala de mi parte y dile que le mando mis mejores deseos para una pronta y completa recuperación. I am very, very happy. Please give her her love from me and from me, and tell her that I'm sending her my best wishes, and I hope she recuperate fast, recuperate completely fast. Right? That's what my mom said. Right? I forgot to mention. So that's how mom behaved. All right, that's it. All right, this is a woman that genuinely cares. Now, I did not tell my mom this little play. And by the way, my mom, this is why women come in. She blocked me on Facebook. You know why? Because I'm blunt. And she just like, you shouldn't be blunt like that. But I'm like, I'm going to be blunt. Because I just think like, I got to be blunt. I just have to. What's the point? I mean, Megyn Kelly is blunt about the fact that she's gleeful that the federal thugs, so-called ICE, is slaughtering whomever is in their way because they can, right? That's blunt. And she has millions. That's who these white folks watch. Fox News is the most watched news channel in this bitch. And there's nothing but white racist garbage. Alright? So-called news. So that's blunt, right? It's blunt when they're slaughtering people in Palestine. So I think I can say, hey, that's not cool. And this is why. Right? So that's the part that I wanted to mention about my mother. But now let's go ahead and read our book, which is Red Shirts. Black shirts and reds. Black shirts and reds, the rational fascism and the overthrow of communism. So yesterday we didn't finish chapter 4, so today we're gonna finish chapter 4 and picked up chapter 5. We left up in a section called Romanticizing Capitalism. In the 1990s, in Washington, D.C., the Hungarian ambassador held a press conference to announce that his country was discarding his socialist system because it did not work. When I asked why it did not work, he said, quote, I don't know, close quote. Here was somehow who confessed that he had no understanding of the deficiency of his country's socio-economic process, even though he was one of those in charge of that process. Leaders who talk only to each other are soon out of touch with reality. The policymakers of these communist states show a surprisingly un-Marxist understanding of the problems they face. There were denunciation and admonition aplenty, but little system analysis of why and how things have come to such an impasse. Instead, there was much admiration for what was taken to be Western capitalist know-how and remarkably little understanding of the ugly side of capitalism and how it impacted upon the world. The USSR gluttonous the use of critical debate to invite innovation reform, open Soviet media to Western penetration, and accelerated the very disaffection it was intended to rectify. And you know what? That's why. And this is why I want to send to a state. If you open your press to, and that's why I don't know if you've been listening to Caroline, the press secretary of U.S. right now, she's a blonde bitch, right? When you listen to her, one of her things that she want to make sure every country on earth can have you. They hate people around the world to come visit, but they sure want U.S. media or U.S. social media or U.S. press or U.S. voices to be heard in those countries. The bitch was saying that they're gonna have to do some shit to Brazil because Brazil said, hey, we do not want Twitter on our bitch because this bitch is misinformation and garbage. We do not want it. We don't need the white degenerates and U.S. telling us anything here in Brazil. and they were ready to go to war with Brazil, right? So I'm telling you, because not everybody is gonna be like me, because I agree, I am extremely on the French. I don't trust shit. I got to check it out. I have to dissect it. I have to confirm it. Like you can brainwash me, okay? Because I read books too. Not many people read books. They're just like, oh, so and so told me, yeah, it must be true. Hey, it's a white man who's saying that. It must be true. It's a white woman. Oh, look, she's blonde. Look at Megyn Kelly. Very attractive. It must be true. I gotta be like a white woman because she's really cute, right? That's what most people would do. They're not gonna be like, well, I gotta listen to the Bronny who's saying that that's full of shit. No, because she lives in the favelas. Nobody's gonna listen to anybody in the favelas. They're gonna listen to Megyn Kelly with her nice, beautiful blonde hair, very attractive, and because that's it. You get the soap opera, you see in these fancy houses. As we read yesterday, the Cubans said, look, yeah, we know they may export people in U.S., but if we work really, 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 really hard, we can be like this blonde bitch called Megyn Kelly, saying that it's okay to, if you don't want to get killed, you just have to be in your home, right? That's what we're working with. So no, I'm telling you, countries should not allow white supremacy trash they call news in this country to penetrate the society. Because when you do that, you are gone. You will be taken over. Because you know what? They will use the same, your own citizen to throw you out. And now, white supremacy just took your whole country. All right? You have to understand what we do. We're dealing with degenerate, evil people who gives no fuck about other people. But let's keep going. Okay. Leaders in the Poland and Hungary and eventually the Soviet Union and other European communist nations decided to open their economies to Western investment during the 1980s. It was anticipated that state ownership would exist on equal terms with cooperatives, foreign investors, and domestic private entrepreneurs. In fact, the whole state economy was put at risk and eventually undermined. Communist leaders and had even less understanding of the capitalist system than of their own. Most people living under the socialism had little understanding of capitalism in practice. Workers interviewed in Poland believe that if the factory were to be closed down and a transition to the free market, quote, the state will find us some other work, close quote. They thought they would have the above ways. In the Soviet Union, many who argue for privatization also expected the government to continue providing them with collective benefits and subsidies. One skeptical farmer got it right, quote, some people want to be capitalists for themselves, but accept socialism to keep serving them, close quote. Reality sometimes hit home. In 1990, during the Glasnost period, when the Soviet government announced that the price of newsprint would be raised 300% to make commensurate with his actual cost, the new pro-capitalist publication complained bitterly. They were angry that the state socialism would no longer subsidize the denunciation of state socialism. They were being subjected to the same free market realities they so enthusiastically advocate for everyone else, and they did not like it. You see, that's hypocrite white supremacy. There's capitalism for the rest of us, but socialism for the wealthy animals, right? So, like for example, the New Deal, they said we can give black folks. There was redlining, nothing for black folks, but the rest of the white folks, they gave them everything, right? And that's what went through the That's what we have. It to the extent there's some middle class in this bitch. That was it. But hey, as long as the white folks are already taken care of, it's sizable, they have a critical mass of white folk who middle class. Then now the rest of us, the brownie and the stuff, they don't want us. They don't. Okay, and just how it works. Let's keep going. And not only that, yeah, there's free market like this. For example, do you notice like there is not too many people who make planes? Like the only planes you jump in this country are U.S. companies. It's a monopoly. What is a monopoly? There's no free market if it's a monopoly. There's a monopoly capital in this bitch. But when it comes to other countries, they had to have a free trade. Why? Because the capital, because first of all, that's another stupid, dumb shit that just rubbed me the wrong way. The majority of people who go to school here, in fact, I would say the majority of the people in the Republican Party are people who they go into finance, it's some business and shit, right? It's like they're really worthless. Like what? Just manipulating money, like doing shit with the money. Like how is benefit us? Like seriously, they wonder why China pumped up in engineers like millions of them. Why this bitch is really not doing shit? Because these have these worthless, good-looking white folks on these fucking finance shit. Only thing that is manipulating money and having these accounting firm like to basically to conquer the whole place. It's just disgusting, you know. In fact, a few years ago, I had this white woman call herself Republican Barbie, you know, attractive, and this bitch was saying she's smart because she got her business degrees. I'm like, have you ever wondered if that business degree is why you so fucking dumb? Just a thought. Consider. Next time, find another major. But let's keep going. Not everyone romanticized capitalism. Many of the Soviet and Eastern European immigrants who had migrated to the United States during the 1970s and 80s complained about this country, poor social services, crime, hard working condition, lack of communitarian spirit, vulgar electoral campaigns, inferior education standards, and the astonishing ignorance that Americans had about history. You see? And that's another thing people do not understand. There's crime. Capitalist countries are some of the most criminal. U.S. is a crime in itself. Okay? So these crimes that we talk about, it's not like human, we just born crime. Yeah, there's human nature, and some of us, we have an impulse. But for the most part, it's created. Because if there's no crime, then they cannot justify all these prisons. They cannot justify all these security things. Crime is, white folks especially love crime. They love it to death. They love killings. They love seeing people caught. All you have to do is just flip on the TVs, on the movies. They love crime. And then they bitch about it. That's all they talk about. You turn on the TV, you turn on the news. My husband do it every day. It runs around the clock. All I'm seeing is crime. I'm the one, I can't take crime. I can't take people being punched, killed. I can't even see animal being injured. Nothing. I can't take crime, not even a little bit. I close my eye. That's why I don't watch too many movies. I can't do it. I cannot bear to see. The most I ever see that people is Palestine genocide, because I refuse to let these people be exterminated in front of my eyes, and the Palestinian people taking the pain or picking the pieces on the ground, put them in a grocery plastic bag, speaking of grocery plastic bag, and watching baby's brains out, watching baby intestine out, watching an elderly man being executed right there for no reason, watching patients being burned to death, being drop bombs on hospital, I refuse to look away. Caitlin Johnson, this Australian podcaster, she made a video that I refuse to look away, and I'm just the same way. I'm not gonna look away. I want to see what white supremacists do, what white folks think is necessary, so they can have a 3-car garage in the settler colonies. So that's the most I have, and trust me, I look at it, and later on I cry more. But if that's what I had to do, because I can do nothing to stop it. So this is the least I can do, okay? And I have absorbed everything that's going on in this genocide, and you cannot. I don't care what they turn Israel into. I will never accept that disgusting degeneracy. There's nothing they can do to convince me that garbage. It's nothing. Just like I don't accept U.S. All right? This is a settler colony. This is stolen land. That's why I don't respect it. I can't stop it, but I cannot respect it. I'm not respected. I cannot respect shit like that. Okay? Until they come back to the human side, like Dr. West used to say, they gotta jump in a love train. Until they jump in the love train, ain't hearing shit. But let's keep going. What was that? Okay, they discovered they could no longer leave their jobs during the day to go shopping. Now, let me, because I was pontificating, I want you to appreciate what Dr. Parenti is talking about. Some of the migrants, people who came from Eastern European, how they felt once they got here. So they had this fantasy about this bitch, and then they got here, and then they had complaints. Let me go back to the previous paragraph. This is what he said. Not everyone romanticized capitalism. Many of the Soviet and Eastern European immigrants who had migrated to the United States during the 1970s and 80s complained about this country, poor social services, crime, hard working conditions, lack of communitarian spirit. Yeah, like communitarian spirit mean you do, like, for example, obviously now white women love people of color, love to help out. White folks who love all human, and they out here trying to be in community with everybody, right? We have them out here, but there's so few. So these people were correct when they said the lack of communitarian spirit, vocal electoral campaign, inferior educational standards, and the astonishing ignorance that America has about history, right? Exactly. Let's keep going. They discovered they could no longer leave their job during the day to go shopping. That their employer provided no company doctor when they fell ill on the job. That they were subject to severe reprimand when tardy. That they could not walk the street and in parks late at night without fear. That they might not be able to afford medical services for their family or college tuition for their children, and that they had no guarantee of a job and my experience in employment at any time. Does it sound like your life? If you listen to me, it sounds like mine. Let's keep going. Among those who never emigrate were some who did not harbor illusions about capitalism. In fact, numerous workers, peasants, and elderly were fearful of the change ahead, and not entirely so on the free market methodology. A 1989 survey in Czechoslovakia found that 47% wanted the economy to remain state control, while 43% wanted a mixed economy, and only 3% said they favor capitalism. In May 1991, a survey of Russian by U.S. polling organization found that 54% choose some form of socialism and only 20% wanted a free market economy, such as in the United States or Germany. Another 27% elected for, quote, a modified forms of capitalism as found in Sweden, close quote. It's still a substantial number, especially among intellectuals and youth. The two groups who know everything opted for the free market paradise without the faintest notion of its social cost. Against the inflated imagination, the reality is a poor thing. Against the glaring image of the West or cornucopia, the routinized, scarcely written, and often exaggerated experience of communist society did not have a chance. And let me just stop here to say something. U.S., the system that we have in U.S. is so fucking mean. It's so fucking evil. I can't even convey why you see people like yesterday. I didn't want to say this because it's just so heartbreaking. Ann Harrison, this woman I follow on Facebook, she highlighted, and I'm going to just tell you how mean this disgusting country is. Let me pour. She had this woman. Her name was Monique Cook. All right. She is Monique Cook woman. She was 53 years old. She was a black woman, right? I don't know if you can see. That's her right there. Monique was homeless, so she lived in shelters. If you know anything about the Midwestern right now, it's extremely cold. My husband and I have not been able to go to the trail because it's just impossible to be outdoors for more than a minute. So 53-year-old Monique Cook, a Michigan native, had been struggling with homelessness for months, moving between shelters while trying to survive during one of the coldest winters of the year. On Monday night, a city bus delay caused her to arrive just 20 minutes late to the shelter where she was scheduled to sleep. Because of that delay, she lost her bed and was left with nowhere to go. With temperature plumbing well below freezing, Monique was forced to sleep outdoors, exposed to the brutal cold overnight. The next morning, she was found unresponsive behind a dumpster in Mount Clement and later pronounced dead after freezing to death. Her tragic death has sparked outrage and renewed conversation about rigid shelter policy and transportation delays can have fatal consequences for unhoused people. In the wake of Monique passing, Michigan officials are now considering changes to the homelessness and shelter access policy to prevent another life from being lost this way. Prayers for all facing the brutal storm this weekend. Rest in peace, Monique Cook. You deserve warmth, safety, and dignity. You see? This is what I'm talking about. All right? That's U.S. for you. Now, a human being was at a fucking shelter when Monique showed up and decided because the rule, you late, you can't come in. What the fuck you mean? Why not? It's no bad. I'm sorry, Monique, it's no bad. Find her a bed somewhere else. I don't care. Right? How are you gonna let this woman who has nowhere to go, it's no bad, and knowing this temperature can kill her? Not only the state itself is disgusting settler, it's like, and then mind you, a lot of people who work in the shelter are people of color. They too. That's why I complain about white women and white people, because it's not so much that all white people would embody this evil, the evil spirit and evil mean spirit, but they also transfer that to the rest of the population because everybody look up to white folks, and they mimic the white folks' behavior, and then there's consequences like this, right? You know, that's what I'm talking about. A woman faces homelessness, and they couldn't even have mercy for her, knowing it's fucking cold, right? That's what we're working with. That's what we're working with. So this system on the socialism, nobody froze to death. You cannot freeze to death in Cuba. None, zero whatsoever. Everybody has a place to stay. Everybody. Okay? But on capitalism, if you don't have money, you get evicted. And not only that, in order for you to get an apartment in this bitch, you have to show that you have the rent. You 4 times the rent, right? That's with the landlords. I mean, you gotta keep looking and like, you know, people do or whatever. You have to look deep, right? Imagine that. A lot of people don't. Maybe for majority of white folks, that's no big deal, right? But a lot of black folks, brown folks, we don't have a way to show, hey, your rent is $2,000, not gonna show that I make $8,000 a month. Yes, easy peasy peasy. No, we do not make that much. We do not make that much. It is so much wrong with this disgusting system. I can't even start to complain. All right? But why is that we get away with it? Because the people who make decisions, Donald Trump, a bitch that was born in a wealthy degeneracy from Germany. And so what did he know is that you gotta come out with, to show to the front of the fucking landlord that you have 4 times the rent. And not only that, you also have to have a good credit. And let me tell you how the credit goes. For example, yesterday, I got a text message. Hey, Monica, your credit score went down. I'm like, why? I didn't do shit. I had a credit card. It's paid off. And it's nothing. My credit should be perfect. My credit should be supreme because I share a credit card with my husband. My husband paid a credit card every month. And I barely use. If I need something, I just tell my husband to buy it for me. That's really not much of an spender. So, for example, something happened to my earpiece. It was stolen in Mexico. I need another one. I already tell my husband. He's thinking about it. And if he decides he wants me to have it again, he'll go to Amazon, get it for me. So anyway, I should not have any issues with my credit. But then I had a credit card that I guess I'm not using. I'm not using anymore. I discovered credit card. It's not like I'm not using. I have no reason to use it, right? I mean, why? Just so it, and that's another thing. Just because you have a credit card now, you gotta buy stuff. Well, I haven't been using it. Before I used to, because before I got married and I'm struggling with everything, and I make so little cash. There's not always a lot of cash. I max my shit up. I had 10,000 credit limit. I always max that shit up, But that's just not anymore. I don't have to. I did something it called marriage, and my husband and I don't have to raise children no more. I made my own, and so my financial situation have dramatically improved. Anyway, I'm getting a text message yesterday. My shit went down 70 points from these thieves called Credit Report Agency. Why? Because the Discover company, they closed my credit card. And because they closed my credit card, they have to balance money. Now I have a bad credit. You see? You see how corrupt the system is? Why are you taking 70 points out of my shit? You didn't ask me, hey, Monica, we not close your shit? Or Like, I have no control, okay? They controls my shit. Fuck them, right? But the reason they get away with it is because everybody participates in that shit. That's capitalism today. Everything is corrupt. It's corrupt. It's a system that's here to humiliate and punish and degrade, and it's disgusting. Okay? Now this one, I don't care. I really don't care. But I don't care about credit cards. I don't want to use them. Right? I don't want to use them. The reason I used them before is because I was struggling and I had to use them. But now I don't really need them. Right? I don't want them. Right? I have more clothes to last me 5 lifetimes. I don't need to buy clothes. Although I still buy clothes. You know, I'm simple. As long as I have a place to stay, food to eat, my husband and I healthy, we're good. You know, it's good. But anyway, I just want to show like the corruption of it all, right? It's corrupt. It's disgusting. Capitalism has to go. If you're rational and you really, really, really are rational and you really, really care about your fellow human beings, you don't want this shit, okay? They don't have credit report in socialism because socialism knows that a human being need a roof over their head, and they don't want human beings to be frozen on the street to death. That's not what they want. We lost Monique because there was no bed or shelter for her, and she died. Now let's keep reading. Still, substantial number, especially among the intellectuals and youth, the two groups who know everything, opted for the free market paradise without the faintest notion of a social cost against inflated imagination. Reality is a poor thing. Oh wait, we already read this part, right? What was that? Anyway, it's okay. I can repeat. Against inflated imagination, reality is poor thing. I am against the glaring image of the West on Narcopia, the routinely scarcely written and often exasperated experience of communist society did not have a chance. It seemed communism created a dialectical dynamic that undermined itself. It took semi-feudal, devastated, underdeveloped countries and successful industrialized them, bringing a better life for the most. But this very process of modernization and uplift also created expectation that could not be fulfilled. Many expected to keep all the securities of socialism overlay with capitalist consumerism. As we should see in subsequent chapters, they were in for some painful surprises. One reason socialism could not make the transition to consumer socialism is that the same of seas was never lifted. As noted in the previous chapter, the very real internal deficiencies within communist system were exacerbated by unrelenting external attacks and threats from the Western powers. Born into a powerful, hostile capitalist world, communist nations suffered through wars, invasions, and arms race that exhausted productive capacities and retarded their development. The decision by Soviet leaders to achieve military parity with the United States while working from a much smaller industrial base placed a serious strain on the entire Soviet economy. The very sea socialism that allowed the USSR to survive made it difficult for it to thrive. Perestroika, the restructuring of socio-economic practice in order to improve performance, was intended to open and revitalize production. Instead, it led to the unraveling of the entire state socialist fabric. Thus, the pluralistic media that were to replace the communist monopoly media. Oh God, what the fuck? Media that were to replace. I'm sorry. That were to my stream gets run with this app of the stuff. And you know what? I don't like reading in this app because I feel like it's another spy to like social, like Facebook and all this other thing. I like reading in a PDF, but for whatever reason, this book was not. I was not able to find it in a PDF where I can actually don't have to fuck with this shit, you know. But anyway, so I keep going blind in that. It does something. They think that I'm not here, but I am here. Thus, the pluralistic media that were to replace the communist monopoly media eventually delved into pro-capitalist ideological monopoly. The same thing happened to other socialist institutions. The intent was to use a shot of capitalism to bolster socialism. The reality was that socialism was used to subsidize and build an unforgiving capitalism pressed hard through his history by global capitalism, powerful financial, economic, and military forces. State socialism endured a perpetual, tenuous existence, only to be swept away when the floodgates were opened to the west. I guess, you know what, I thought we'll go pick up in chapter 5 today, but I will leave it there for today because I just think that I don't want to make my video excessively long because y'all motherfuckers don't be watching the whole thing, and I want you guys to watch the whole thing. So for now, I'm gonna leave you with our favorite. Did you guys enjoy Family Affairs with Mary J. Blige? He's gonna come on, but I hope not. Mr. Me, no hair, no hair-ration, holleration. This is to me, you know, so much theory. Anyway, that's the jam. I dedicated to Jean, Tom, Henry, and Christine. I know they are thanking me for that. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you with Victor Jara Manifesto. Free Palestine.
Yo no canto por cantar, ni por tener buena voz. Canto porque la guitarra tiene sentido y razón. Tiene corazón de tierra y alas de palomita. Es como el agua bendita, santigua glorias y penas. Aquí se encajó mi canto, como dijera Violeta. Guitarra trabajadora con olor a primavera. Que no es guitarra de rico, ni cosa que se parezca. Mi canto es de los andamios para alcanzar las estrellas. Que el canto tiene sentido cuando palpitan las venas del que morirá cantando las verdades verdaderas, no las lisonjas fugaces ni las famas extranjeras, sino el canto de una lonja hasta el fondo de la tierra. Ahí donde llega todo y donde todo comienza, canto que ha sido valiente, siempre será canción nueva. Siempre será canción nueva. Siempre será canción nueva.